Hi, David here. This is Tesla Israel, and today we're going to talk about all the bureaucratic mess that I had to go to in order to actually bring the car to Israel. Luckily, I had somebody that help me out with it. Otherwise, I don't know if I would be able to do it myself. So these are the documents that we needed in order to get here, to get the car here. One was the order agreement with the total cost, which was $56,290. Nice thing about Florida is if you're shipping it overseas, you don't have to pay the taxes. So that's why it was a little bit lower, which is really nice. Next thing we needed was the title, which was the most complicated part because if you can see that we got the car on the 6th of June and that it was issued only on the 17th of June. Meaning we had to wait from then, and then they actually had to send it to my mother's house. And until it got there, it wasn't until sometime in July, and we already came back to Israel by then. So we had to get all this information from other people overseas, which really complicated the process and made it a little bit more difficult because there was a lot of coordination, a lot of speaking to different people in America. And after this, we have another document, which was the window sticker. The window sticker, the important part here is the date up top, which is May 2021. After this, there's a couple other documents like a driver's license, a lawyer's document saying that everything we submitted were real. And that was about it. That's all the documents that we needed in order to actually start the process. And just pay attention to this manufacturing date. We're going to get back to it again, and it's an extremely important date. Unfortunately, it caused some problems. So those are basically the documents that you need. There's other documents also, like you need your driver's license here in Israel. You need a thing from a lawyer saying that everything you put there is the right thing with a signature on it. But that's basically the document you need when it comes to relation to the Tesla itself. So now let's go and use them. After that, we have to come to this website of the government, which is Gov Forms. And I'll send the link. I'll put the link down at the bottom. You can go there and look at it a little bit. Here, basically the complicated part is you have to know a lot of information that I had no clue, and that's why I needed to find somebody to help out. So the guy that I found, Yossi, was very helpful in getting this all filled out for me. I went through it with him. He told me what to do, and at the end you have to go and pay a fee, which actually it was less than I thought it would be. But the complicated part was just going through everything and getting all those documents that you need and putting them in here, making sure everything is in the right place. And here is basically the information that we put in. Obviously, I redacted some of the data. But yeah, this is basically the form after you fill it out that you get back from them. You can see it's what you're doing, your name, all kinds of different things, the type of car, which I personally didn't know what category it goes into, things for the taxes, and just a bunch of different things that I had no clue. Notice again the date here, April, right? So here, the date we put in was April. If you remember, the document before was in May. It said May on it. So this actually caused us a problem, and we'll get to that problem, but it was really annoying. But yeah, so this is the actual date. Unlike before that we saw. Here you also have to have a Carfax, the title like we saw before, the sticker like we saw before, also the EPA things saying that it's a clean car, obviously, and then a document from a lawyer, my signature on it, basically that's seal. And then when we get all the way to the bottom, we'll see that what the actual cost is after we agreed everything like that. So here you see the cost was 253 shekels, which isn't too bad. I thought it was going to be more, not a huge cost. So the cost here wasn't that much. So it didn't add that much to the cost, especially compared to how much the car actually cost and the taxes on it. Okay, so let's now start going over the bureaucratic side of things. So here's the process. First we got an email after we submitted the documents, and this is how much it cost, 253 shekels. After that, we got another email, also on July 15th, basically the summary, which we went over before, of the submitted documents. Then you see about 6 days later, it went over to the Department of Importing. Following that, we're going to go over, and you'll see that the next day they saw that there's a problem. They're missing some sort of document, this is the plate of the car, which has all kinds of information about the tires and the car itself, with the VIN number, and this. So they wanted that, which I can understand. So here's what they wanted. This is usually located on the driver's side, where the door is. Notice the date. The date, May of 2021. Once again, that date is very important, unfortunately. But yeah, this was something that they needed. It wasn't so clear before. So notice here, we submitted it, and the next day, on Friday, and then we got a reply on Monday about them going over it and sending it over to a technician for their opinion. And then it went back to the import department, and then notice they canceled it. They canceled the request because of the information not being exactly the same in the request as it was in the tablet or in the manufacturing date. Because we accidentally put April, they canceled it because it was actually manufactured in May, which that's just pure bureaucracy in my opinion, but okay. So they canceled it. Now what? Moved on, and the very next day we get another email, as we'll see in a second, which this email is basically telling us again that they're canceling it. And you can see the same thing. They canceled it. The request was canceled. The height of bureaucracy. This was so annoying. Just this little tiny mistake of April to May. It delayed it by at least a week, if not 2 weeks, in order to actually shipping the car from America. Really annoying. Okay, so after 6 days, we got a message back, and basically they had two issues. One, which is the same as the other one, which basically we put the wrong date on the lawyer's document. So I had to get the lawyer to fill it out again with the right date, and then put in that. The second one that we'll see further going on is about the weather. Yeah, so we put in the thing for the lawyer, kind of thought that the weather thing was kind of ridiculous, so we didn't put that in. And then we got it back the same day, later that day. Also, they want us to show them that the Tesla can work in Israel for all the different weather situations in Israel. I thought that was a little bit crazy. Really, come on. Like, to ask for a document saying that Tesla can work in the climate here in Israel, it's just ridiculous. I mean, that is pure bureaucracy. Ridiculous. So yeah, we had to submit this. I had to go through a long process. This is very difficult because I had to start calling Tesla in America, trying to get them to give me the documents. I called them. They told me to contact the one in Israel. The one in Israel was not answering, so I had to drive all the way to Petach Tikva. You can even see here the email that they sent out to help me prepare it. I drove to Petach Tikva, everything. It took me a few days until I actually got the document finally submitted on the 9th. After I finally got the document from somebody in the US, not from somebody in Israel, and then we got an answer back on the 9th that it's gone over to the technical side of things, I guess, to check the weather again. I don't know. Silly bureaucracy. And then they they asked for the thing from the lawyer, which we already submitted, so we went ahead and submitted it again. After we already submitted it, for some reason they got lost, I don't know. Submitted again, they got it, it went over, and then it kept going, went over to the technician again on the 10th, and then on the 10th it went back over to the part of the importing, and from there, on the same day, we finally got the permission on August 10th. Just look how long it took. Bureaucratic mess of almost a month. It was ridiculous. In summary, so when I look at the actual bureaucratic mess that existed, I didn't think it was too bad. After we applied, I think it was ridiculous that they because of the date they just canceled the request and we had to put a new one. And even if we had to put a new one, I wouldn't have expected it to take another week until they actually got to it. So I think that was a waste of time. And I think also that document with the weather, that Tesla could work in Israel. I mean, Tesla's all over the world, and they have the cars here already, except for the Model Y. So it just didn't make any sense. It was just bureaucracy, pure bureaucracy. I think other than that, being in Israel for 13 years, I think it was probably one of the least bureaucratic things. I think the government actually in the past 13 years has greatly improved the way that they run things online. I mean, didn't have to go into any office, didn't have to speak to anybody basically. All you had to do is fill in the forms, submit it, wait for a reply. I guess if they would have rejected it, then we would have had a couple issues. But I think from a bureaucratic perspective, I mean, I had to deal with stuff and get documents like the climate thing, which was just ridiculous. It took me like a day and a half, 2 days to get it. But other than that, everything was pretty straightforward. The things that I knew, and then I had to help. But it was pretty straightforward, and everything was online. So it made it pretty easy. So I don't think the bureaucratic side, I don't think it should really deter anybody from doing the same thing. If you think it does, you could contact me, and I can put you in touch with the person who helped me. And basically, that takes care of everything. So in summary, I think the bureaucratic side of getting the actual import license was pretty easy. And from there, within one day, there was a truck in Aventura, Florida, picked up my car, and they drove it up to Savannah, Georgia, and then put it on the boat. And from there, it came to Israel. We'll get to that in the next episode.